Pranams. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, welcome everybody to our continued Jiva Tattva, Jaiva Dharma study. Fascinating topics. Fascinating. So, today is Friday, 26th of April, 2024, and we'll have a kirtan and then we'll begin our reading. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Bihari O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda. Oh Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, oh Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He. Oh Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura. Gaura He, 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 Gaura He. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhabhaka Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Rishabhanu Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaudahari Ki Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Pravishta Om Astog Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Pravishta Om Astog Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Pravishta Om Astog Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sabhabhoma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Acharya Ki Jai Jai Srila Vishnath Chakrabarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsad Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Hardas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sigaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautamdvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritujip Janadvip Motamdvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dang Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwara Savat Marmika Shri Brajamandal ki jai. Shri Radha Kun, Shama Kun, Ganga Jamuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani ki jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Punamasi Devi Maharani ki jai. Gopishwa Mahadev ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Ketra Mandal ki jai. Sarava Vigna Vinasakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Charidam ki jai. Chari Sampradaya ki jai. Chari Acharya ki jai. Akarvat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagat Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Priya Swarupe Daita Sarupe Prema Sarupe Sahaja Virupe Nijana Rupe Prabhuika Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavartanokalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundaratu Tikatamba Sadipita Sada Hridare Kandare Swaratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamanapaityam Apaitikrityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Taravopinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karamadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Paradram Tato Mamanasli Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandava pranams under the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times under the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto our dearmost Namo Bhakti Vinodaya, Satchidananda Namani Gaura Shakti Swarabhaya Rupa Nugavarayate, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. And all our illustrious Rupa Nuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Bhavnavyo Vaishnave Namaha. So coming to our Falshruti, and we're into the second set of 5 verses. Jadedvaita Gyanahaya Chita Upadaya Krishna Bhakti Chiradina Upaya Upayi. Such knowledge, which is solely related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected. So we've discussed this so many times. Whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, the divine duality means the superlative leelas that are constantly in flow within the spiritual world. So within the spiritual world, there is duality. There is the subject and the object. There is Krishna and there is Krishna's devotees. There is love. For love to exist, there must be a subject and an object. So therefore, there is duality within the spiritual world. Chit Jagat should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the Upaya, means of attainment, and the Upayi, goal worthy of attainment. If this is our goal, then we're setting our sights here, we're setting our compass here. That makes it very, very simple. In any condition of life, we're filled with desires. So we're coming from the material conditioned focus of life. So now we're Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami used to say, dovetailing. We're changing our desires from material exploitation to spiritual dedication. We're changing here. So we're fixing our goal, a goal worthy of attainment. And each time we study the Shastra, especially Jaiva Dharma, we get more clear. This is a process, as we were discussing yesterday. It's an evolutionary state of consciousness that is always developing. It's always moving forward. So our goal, my Gurudev used to say, as many as 5 times in a day, we should be confirming our direction. We should be setting our sights again. During the day, so many distracting things will happen. We need to take a deep breath at certain points and just realign our compass. What am I doing with this tremendous gift of human life that I've been given? How am I absorbing the path of the Rupanuga Guru Vargya? How am I absorbing the teachings of Mahaprabhu? How am I following the indication of my Guru? Daily, 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 as many as 5 times in a day. Certainly in the early morning hours when we're chanting, etc. Constantly refreshing, refreshing. Jiva kabu jadanai, hari kabunai, hari saha jiva chintya beta beta mai. The jiva is not a product of dull matter. This is what we've learned. The jiva is chit shakti. He's not made of jiva shakti. He's chit shakti. He's manifesting from the chit potency. That's his nature, but he's being covered because he's marginal, he's weak. He's being covered by the Mayic illusory energy in the form of attraction to exploitation in this material world. This is fundamentally what it means. I'm trying to exploit something from this world for my material pleasure, therefore reinforcing my identity as a material entity rather than a spiritual entity. So this state, this consciousness has to be changed. It has to be purified. It has to be um, uh, turned around, so to speak. This is what we're in process of doing. And it's not just a quick process. We've been billions of lifetimes submissive to the Mayic energies and our material desires. Like in this world, if you have a disease, it takes years and years sometimes to purify that, to cure that. So simultaneously, this is going to take time, dedication, practice, service, mercy more than anything. So we're crying hungry for mercy. He's not a product of dull matter, nor is he Keval Advaita, absolutely one in all ways with Sri Hari. So we're not going the other way. We're not like the Mayavad. We're neither one nor the other. These are two extremes. Bhukti, Mukti, Spriha Javat, Pischachi, Hridi, Vartante. These two witches of Maya, this of Bhukti, that means liberation. That means enjoyment, bhukti, and liberation, mukti. Bhukti, mukti, spriha, javat. These are two witches that are constantly playing with our consciousnesses. Do I want to enjoy matter? If I don't want to enjoy matter, then all of a sudden I want to be liberated. I put all my focus on being liberated, like a yogi, like a rishi, like it was traditionally. The jiva is inconceivably different and non-different from Hari. Hopefully we'll reach the part in the 15th chapter where we'll discuss this very clearly today. Deha kabo jiva nai, dara bhogya nai, dasa bhogya jiva Krishna Prabhu bhakta hoy. The material body should never be considered to be the jiva. The material body is covered by two other bodies, a subtle body and a gross body, the linga sarira and the stul sarira. The subtle body is packed with desires also, and the gross body is what we perceive with our vision. But these are coverings over the Atma itself. And when we leave this body, the linga sarira, the subtle body, carries into the next body. All of our various material impressions and desires, they will cross over and carry into the next body. That's called our karma. We'll get a body according to our previous activities and desires. These two points, our activities and our desires, that's subtle. Although the activities are more gross, but the activities will be prompted by our desires. So it's that subtle, those subtle desires which will be carried into the next birth and form our next birth. Who is our mother? Who is our father? What is our caste? What is our creed? What is our talents, etc.? This is all coming from our previous material activities. This is called the transmigration of the soul, goes into these different bodies. The material body should never be considered to be the jiva. Therefore, what I've just said. And this earth is not for the jivas to exploit and enjoy. The jiva's swarup is Krishna Das, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. Whereas Sri Krishna's swarup is Prabhu, master, and Bhakta, enjoyer. This again we'll discuss in this 15th chapter. So Krishna, we're made of pleasure also. That's why Krishna wants to relish the rasa between us and himself. This anandam buddhi vardhanam, unlimited bliss, is the potential of the jiva. When he realizes his spiritual swarup, that unlimited bliss will manifest within his consciousness. And that's what Krishna wants to actually taste, that relationship. He wants that relationship with us more than we want it with him. So we have to deeply resonate with this purpose of our life, to achieve, to become recipients of the mercy, to realize these truths. We need mercy. Jaiva Dharma Naya Che Deha Dharma Kata Naya Che Jiva Gyan Mayavada Prata. This book, entitled Jaiva Dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavad doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahm. So he's just summed this up in this verse, what he's been saying in the previous 3, 4, 5 verses. Why is Bhaktivinoda Thakur repeating himself again and again and again and again and again? In this 15th chapter we're reading, so many times it's repetitive because we need to hear it so many times, because each time we hear it, we get a new appreciation of it. That's why we must constantly read Jaiva Dharma every day for the rest of our lives. Every time we hear it, it awakens a new a deeper appreciation of the subject matter. It takes us deeper into our spiritual awareness of our eternal relationship with Krishna. It's a very serious subject matter. It's not something just ha ha ha, he he he. It's not on that level. It's a sober state of consciousness. That soberness comes when we stop interacting excessively with the material energy. For example, if we're always blasting our minds with material entertainment in all different fashions and facets, then it's going to create an intoxicated state of consciousness, not a sober state. So by living carefully, by practicing carefully the precepts that the Mahajans have laid for us, the precepts that are Guru Vargya, particular Manashiksha, for example, Raghunath Das Goswami, he's saying, my dear mind, please settle down. Please think of Vrindavan, think of the Brahmins, worship, etc., worship the cow. He's saying so many things of this nature to bring us to a sober condition. It's only in that sober condition that we can hold these truths for long enough to have realization of them. If these truths just flash into our minds, yes, I'm getting but it doesn't sustain itself, then it'll be gone within 5 minutes again. So we're looking to build this adhikar, this pot, receptacle, to hold, to contain these truths forever. We're looking to connect with our eternal self. Jiva Nitya Dharma Bhakti Tahe Jadanai Shuddha Jiva Prema Seva Phala Payathai. The Jiva's Nitya Dharma is bhakti, devoid of material motivation. This is his Nitya. That's all we need to know. What is my Nitya Dharma? This is what we need to know. If we know what is my Nitya Dharma, which is to render service to the Supreme Lord, Jivara Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nitya Das, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. What does a servant do? He serves his master. This is our function. The function of the jiva is to serve the master, just like the function of the hand is to serve the body. If the hand rebels and doesn't want to serve the body, then everything is going to be deformed. It's going to be unsettled. It's going to be disturbed. So if we can resolutely work into that place of consciousness to constantly looking for seva. How can I serve? How can I serve? At every minute of the day, when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was examining Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he describes himself before he took initiation from Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji, he saw that in the 24 hours of the day, there was not a single second when he was deviated from his focus of service to the Supreme Lord. Not a second. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said he could find 1 second when he deviated, he wouldn't have taken initiation. But he saw every single second of his day was only focused on Krishna. My Gurudev was the same. There wasn't a moment from the time of his rising to the time of his sleeping, even in his sleep. Of course, we don't know what his sleeps were about, but whether he, whatever. But in his waking hours, from his very first moment, I can remember when it was like Vyasa Puja day, not my Gurudev's Vyasa Puja day, but National Vyasa Puja day, Guru Purnima. And thousands of people would come to the temple all day long. My Gurudev would rise early and perform his own Guru Puja very elaborately. And then he would go down to the temple, and all morning he would be interacting with so many devotees. Then he would take a little prasadam, and then he would take a few moments of rest, and then again he would begin. And he'd go right through until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, non-stop, interacting with all the different um, sadhaks, Brijbasis that came and saw him. So this is the correct way to live. The jiva's nitya dharma is bhakti, devoid of material motivation. The jiva, purified by seva, attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prem. That is the fruit of the seva, is prem. That means loving devotion, complete loving. After prem, there is sneha, man, pranaya, rag, anurag, bhav, mahabhav, ruda, adiruda, madanakya. These are all stages of prem. This stage of prem is actually evolving, like we were describing before. Prem isn't just a singular, it moves, it develops. So this is the fruit of the sadhak's diligent, focused attention in his practice. So now we come to page 340, and I'll just reiterate what Brajanath's question is. We're not going to race through this chapter. I don't think we can race through this chapter. The precepts and what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying and sharing is so profound. And in order to catch that, we need to carefully examine every single sentence that he's saying to get the full import of his gift of this Jiva Tattva. So Brajanath says, you said earlier that the Chit world is eternal, and so are the Jivas. If this is true, how can an eternal entity possibly be created, manifested, or produced? Yes, if it's eternal, how can there be a question of creation or destruction if it's eternal? If it is created at some point of time, it must have been non-existent before that. So how can we accept that it is eternal? It's a wonderful question. We are eternal. But we reference when the jiva was first manifested, we use these terminologies. This is what he'll explain. So Babaji, the time and space that you experience in this material world are completely different from time and space in the spiritual world. Material time is divided into three aspects: past, present, and future. However, in the spiritual world, there is only one undivided, eternally present time. Every event of the spiritual world is eternally present, the powerful present. This is how Bhagavatam refers to this. Whatever we say or describe in the material world is under the jurisdiction of material time and space. So when we say the jivas were created, the spiritual world was manifested, or there was no influence of Maya in creating the form of the jivas, material time is bound to influence our language and our statements because we're materially conditioned souls. We can't speak in any other language. We can only speak in this material way. This is inevitable in our conditioned state. So we cannot remove the influence of material time from our descriptions of the atomic jiva and spiritual objects. Very simple. The conception of past, present, and future always enters into them in some way or another. Still, those who can discriminate properly can understand the application of the eternal present when they comprehend the purport of the descriptions of the spiritual world. If we immerse ourselves in the descriptions of the spiritual world we were describing yesterday, you actually forget about this material world. If you completely absorb yourself in a particular pastime in Vrindavan fully, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, if you read some of the Gits of the Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, and you fully absorb your mind in there for hours even, you actually leave this material world completely. We should practice this daily as much as possible. Baba, be very careful in this matter. Now he's cautioning Rajanath. Give up the inevitable baseness or the aspect of the description that is fit to be rejected and have spiritual realization. Don't keep referencing everything to this material experience.
It's different here.
Oh, what does it say?
It says,
Take the
Baba,
microphone. Take
be
the
very
microphone. Here.
careful.
Take the microphone. Speak.
Baba, be very careful in this matter. Abandon the inescapable limitations of words and have spiritual realization.
Well, it's basically saying the same.
Yeah, same but different.
There's no difference really. I don't know why it's been changed. There's different types of editors. Some editors want to put their own bhav into the text, but
Same meaning but
yeah.
different words combination.
But I'll read it again from here. This is the 2009 edition, just to make it clear. Give up the inevitable baseness or the aspect of the description that is fit to be rejected and have spiritual realization. In other words, don't base your perception of life on the material stamp of approval. If the materialists say, oh, we should go to war, we should do this, we should do that, does that mean that you're going to fully support their crazy demonic ideas and so on? Where are we taking our normal, rational direction from? We're not taking it from this material world. Neither are we taking it from the demands of the material body, nor the material mind. So it goes through gradations. Gradually, we're severing ourselves from faith and belief in the nimitic experience, the temporary material experience, and trying to bring ourselves more to a consistent spiritual appreciation of our eternal nature, in seva to Radha and Krishna, or Srimati Radhika and her Sakis, particularly her Manjaris, who are our Guru Varga. If we stay tucked in nicely to their lotus feet and follow their direction, their norm, not what the general populace say. We've said many times 3 billion drunks are not necessarily right. They might all be saying, yes, 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 it's red, it's red, it's red, but actually it's blue. But they're all drunk, so they're seeing it red. So why should we follow that material viewpoint or vision? Understand from Shastra, then we'll be safe. Mahajan, what's that? Mahajan, Yato? Anyway, all Vaishnavas say that the jiva is an eternal Mahajana Yena Sata Panta. All Vaishnavas say that the Jiva is an eternal servant of Krishna. All Vaishnavas say this. So we're following the Vaishnava Dharma. That his eternal nature is to serve Krishna and that he is not bound by Maya. He's not bound physically by Maya. It's our desire to be attracted to Maya. We've said this so many times. Sometimes we're crying out, oh, Maya's giving me such a hard time. That's completely fictitious. We are choosing to embrace Maya. I'm holding onto the tree and I'm crying out, let go, let go. Who's holding? I'm holding it. It's crazy. We've become crazy.
Yeah.
And we have to own up to our craziness to become not crazy. As long as we hold on to the fact that I'm not crazy, but actually I am, then I'm still crazy. You know, we have to face it and own it. Bound by Maya, because he has forgotten that eternal nature. I'll read that again. All Vaishnavas say that the Jiva is an eternal servant of Krishna, that his eternal nature is to serve Krishna, and that he is now bound by Maya because he has forgotten that eternal nature. Yes, we've forgotten. We never actually knew it, but forgotten is another word. It's the only word that can be used to describe our predicament. Because internally, there is a connection, but we've forgotten that. We're just using the word again. Bhaktivinoda Thakur will describe. It's like, for example, if an Indian family moved to England and they have a child, and the child reaches the age of 18 years old. He's never been to India before, but the parents say to him, now you're coming home, back to India, back to your, he's never been there before, but he's going back home. And they say, yes, you've forgotten what India was like. He's never actually experienced it, but still it's within him. It's his nature to be Indian, so he'll come back and remember like that. However, everyone knows that the jiva is an eternal entity of which there are two types, Nitya Mukta and Nitya Baddha. The subject has been explained in this way only because the conditioned human intellect being controlled by pramad. What does pramad mean? Madness or illusion. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Inattentiveness is saying very kindly here, inattentiveness. But it means like, pagali, is unable to comprehend a subject matter. I'll read that again. The subject has been explained in this way only because the conditioned human intellect, being controlled by pramad, inattentiveness, is unable to comprehend a subject matter. Realized sadhaks, though, experience transcendental truth through their chit samadhi. Chit samadhi. That means they enter the consciousness of chit, of pure consciousness. Then they realize the truth. Maybe I should change my book. Spiritual trance. Okay, well, chit samadhi. Our words always have some material limitation because they're material. So whatever we say will have some mayic defects. My dear son, you should always endeavor to realize the pure truth. Logic and argument cannot help at all in this regard. So it is futile to use them to try to understand inconceivable subject matters. Inconceivable subject matters, and you're trying to use material rationale and logic to understand inconceivable. Oh, but the newspapers say this, so I should follow that. Oh, but society is saying this, so I should be influenced by that. Oh, the general law books of the material world are saying like, so I should follow that. I should have that as my premise. No, that won't rip the veil of illusion from our eyes. We have to leave that whole material Mayic conception. That's called Naimitic Dharma. Naimitic Dharma is the temporary Dharma. We have to leave the temporary material Dharma. And I've said before, not necessarily externally, we have to go about our social behaviors, etc., play the game on the stage of our karmas, etc. But internally, we should be appreciating this detachment from matter. That even means my family. That means my identity as a son, as a brother, as a husband, as a father, etc. All those identities are nimitic. They're all temporary. They're not permanent. We are spirit, soul, servant of Krishna. This is permanent. Everything else is temporary. So it's a deep, deep, deep thing that we're in process of appreciating and purifying. I know that you will not be able to understand these subjects in a moment. This is what we're just saying. But you cultivate these transcendental moods within your heart. That's exactly what I'm saying. Within your heart, not externally, but within your heart. Begin the process of rehabilitating the degraded consciousness to coming to a higher, purified state of consciousness, which has nothing to do with this material world. Don't try and bring your spiritual realizations into this material world necessarily. You know, you get a spiritual epiphany, you wake up, wow, I must write this on Facebook and tell everyone about it. Who's going to relate to it? It's not going to make any difference. We need to be somewhat confidential. It's a confidential truth. So take these, we should understand what is confidentiality. Work in this direction. Within your pure heart, you will realize Chinmoy Bhav more and more. Yes, if you hold it within the heart, you'll realize Chinmoy, this transcendental Bhav, more and more. In other words, all the transcendental moods will manifest themselves in the core of your purified heart. Your body is material, and all the activities of your body are also material. But the essence of your being is not material. You are an atomic conscious entity. The more you know yourself, the more you will be able to realize how your Swarup is a tattva superior to the world of Maya. How beautiful! How beautiful! Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us this absolute picture. Even if I tell you, you will not realize it. You can't confront someone who's in Maya and say, hey, brother, you're in Maya. No, I'm not. You know, we'll just defend ourselves, defend the Mayic some way or another. We'll even present a Mayavad proposal to defend my Maya. That's what the Mayavadis do. Because I don't want to be stripped from my illusion. I like my illusion. It makes me taste. There was a video a long time ago called The Matrix. And in that video, it's a very true description that there's a group that are outside of Maya, so to speak, and a group that are in Maya. And one person outside of Maya, he wants to go back into Maya. And he's saying how much he wants to enjoy the taste, of food again, even though it's a dream. It's not a reality, but he's trying to enjoy it. How is it possible?
The blue pill.
The blue pill or the red pill? Yeah. It's there. It's showing us. It's a good analogy. Even if I tell you, you will not realize it, or simply by hearing, you will not attain it. It's a cultivation. Cultivate the practice of chanting Harinam as much as possible. As you go on chanting Harinam, these transcendental bars will begin to manifest in your heart automatically. And to the degree that they do so, you will be able to realize the transcendental world. How sublime is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words. Mind and speech both have their origin in matter. Mind and speech
Wow.
in matter, not in the spiritual world. And they cannot touch the transcendental truth, even with the greatest endeavor. You can sit in the Himalayas, stand on one toe, do all these kind of things. You still can't crack the gates of transcendence. Only by mercy, only by that descending process. We are hungry for the mercy, for the links. They're throwing the ropes. The ropes are all around us to get hold of. Our defect is our weakness in holding. We might catch a rope and then let it go again. Catch it, then let it go again. We need to catch it and hold tight. That means we need to regulate our lives around a proper spiritual diet, a diet of Harinam, a diet of absorption in Shastra, a diet of association with devotees, a diet of visiting the holy dhams and holy places, a diet of our worship of the Thakurji, etc. The five angas of bhakti. It's sadhu sangha, nam kirtan. What is it? Not sadhu sangha, nam kirtan, um, um Bhagavat Shravanam. Um,
Deity
Shri,
worship.
was that one?
Deity worship.
Yes, Shri Murtiya Sevaya. These five.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Sastra,
Yes. So sadhu sangha, nam kirtan, Srimad Bhagavatam,
Bhagavan Murti,
Bhagavat Mutaya Sevaya. That's four. I missed one.
Sastra.
Nam Kirtan.
None.
The most important.
Yes.
Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravanam, Sri Mutaya Sevaya. I didn't say this verse for a long time. I'll get it properly. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to look it up now so I can not make any mistakes. Starts off with Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan. Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan. Where is it? Sadhu. 249. It's the middle of summer here. I'm just telling the people who are watching, and it's something like 42 degrees outside. It's no excuse, but Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan Bhagavat Shravanam Mathuravas Sri Murtaya Shradaya Seva. That these are the five principal angas of devotion that we should be resolutely holding on to daily, reminding ourselves of that. So, the Vedas say in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Yato Varcha Nirvartante Arapaya Manasa Saha. Aprapya Manasa Saha. The speech and the mind return from Brahm, being able to attain him. That means that speech and the mind, you cannot attain the Lord just by words or by the mind. It's by absolute devotion, the deepest devotion conceivable, and it gets deeper and deeper. I advise you not to inquire about this matter from anyone, but to realize it yourself. I have just given you an indication. It's not for debate. There's no need to put debates up in different places on these topics. We can discuss our personal realizations with our confidential friends, etc., our associates, but it's not, these subject matters aren't for debate. This is cast in, this is this is Siddhanta. It's not up for debating about. If you don't understand it, that's usually when you want to debate about it and find some loop and hole with it, find some defect in it or something like that. Don't do that. This is what Babaji is saying. Don't try and look for any material defect. Brajanath, you have explained that the jiva is like a spark of a burning fire or an atomic particle in the rays of the spiritual sun. What is the role of jiva shakti in this? So jiva shakti is different from chit shakti. Jiva shakti is coming from chit shakti. You remember the diagram yesterday? Babaji, Krishna, who in these examples, did I read that whole question?
Yes, you do.
No. Krishna, in these examples, is compared to the blazing fire or the sun, is a self-manifest tattva. We're talking about Krishna, Shaktiman. Within the compass of that blazing fire or sun, in other words, Krishna, everything is a spiritual manifestation because it's Krishna. And the rays spread far and wide beyond its sphere. These rays are the fractional function, the anukarya of the Swarup Shakti. So the rays are the energy, the Shakti of the original sun. Krishna is like the sun, and it's inspiring the rays, the Swarup Shakti. And the rays within the fractional function are paramanu, atomic particles. He's painting a picture here for us. The particles within the rays of the sun are the jivas. So you're having the rays coming out from the sun. That's like Sri Radhika, that's like the Swarup Shakti, the rays. And within the rays, there is the Jiva Shakti, the Paramanu, within the rays of the spiritual sun. The jivas are composed of this very localized atomic tattva. Swarup Shakti manifests the world within the sphere of the spiritual sun. Swarup Shakti, that's Shakti Tattva, is manifesting from the sun. It's like the heat is coming from the fire. The heat is the Shakti. The fire is like the sun. So it's coming from the origin of the sun, which is Krishna. And the function outside the sphere of the sun is carried out by Jiva Shakti. So outside the sphere of the sun is Jiva Shakti. We're not the same as Swarup Shakti or Chit Shakti. We're Jiva Shakti. It's an emanation from the Swarup Shakti. This is what it's saying here very clearly, which is the direct partial representation of Chit Shakti. We are a representation of that Chit Shakti. Therefore, the activities related to the Jiva are those of Jiva Shakti. Parasya Shaktiya Vidvadaiva Suryate. The Achintya Shakti is called Parashakti. Although it is one, this innate potency, Swabhaviki Shakti, has manifested varieties based on Gyan, spiritual knowledge, Bal, spiritual strength, and Kriya, spiritual activities. So this Gyan is like the, yes, okay. So the Svetashvara Upanishad 6.8 is saying like this. According to this aphorism of Shruti, the Chit Shakti is a manifestation of the Parashakti. The Parashakti is the initial Shakti. If you look at that diagram, you'll see it's headed Parashakti, the supreme energy. And from that supreme energy is manifesting the Chit Shakti. And from the Chit Shakti is manifesting the Jiva Shakti. So there's a separateness here. Although the jivas within the Jiva Shakti have the same qualities as the Chit Shakti. We'll discuss this in a moment. According to this aphorism of Shruti, the Chit Shakti is a manifestation of the Para Shakti. It emanates from its own sphere, the spiritual realm. I think by hearing these topics, our respect and appreciation for the spiritual realm will increase. It'll show us our defected vision now of just seeing this material world. But the more we hear about the spiritual world, the more um, faith we will have in that state of being, that consciousness, that spiritual reality. It emanates from its own sphere, the spiritual realm, as the Jiva Shakti. And in the marginal region between the spiritual and the material worlds, it manifests innumerable eternal jivas who are like atomic particles in the rays of the spiritual sun. So this is a very powerful paragraph we've just read, but in principle, it's demonstrating that the particles within the rays, this is the position of the jiva, and those rays are emanating from the Swarup Shakti, which is emanating from the Shaktiman Krishna directly. This is the sequence, so to speak, that is being pulled out here. There's Krishna. Actually, there's Krishna, and they're what are called Swamsa. There's Krishna and Krishna's own manifestations from his own body, but those are manifesting from Swarup Shakti. And then there are the Vibhinamsa Tattva. This is the jivas. We're separated. Vibhinamsa means separated parts. We are separated from the son of Krishna, from the Swarup Shakti. There's a separation here. That's our position. We just accept it. Rajanath, a burning fire, fire, the sun, sparks, and the atomic particles of sunshine, these are all material objects. Why has a comparison been made with these material objects in the discussion of Chit Tattva? So we've already had this question answered before, but as I said at the beginning of today, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has to repeat again and again. So now he's going to repeat again. Babaji, as I have already said, you see, he's already said it, inevitably there are material defects in any material statements we make about Chit Tattva. But what alternative do we have? We are obliged to use these examples because we are helpless without them. Therefore, those who know Tattva try to explain Chit Vastu by comparing it to fire or the sun. In reality, Krishna is far superior to the sun. Krishna's effulgence is far superior to the radiance of the sun. So, in other words, these material examples fall short because Krishna's actual reality is much, 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 much greater than these material. But we're trying to get our intelligence to appreciate the nature of this situation. Krishna is far superior to the sun. Krishna's effulgence is far superior to the radiance of the sun, and Krishna's rays and the atoms in them, that is the Jiva Shakti and the Jivas, are far superior to the rays of the sun and the atomic particles in the rays. Still, these examples have been used because they are many similarities within them. Actually, we're reading this carefully, but when you get when we've finished this chapter, when we've absorbed the whole truth of this chapter, and if we've captured something of it, and we have it all in context, completely together, then it's so much more comprehensive. It's so much more easier to understand when we actually, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's on a journey here. He's opening out gradually. When you see the conclusion, then everything previously makes a lot more sense. So we just must continue. Even if we don't fully understand everything initially, it'll become clearer and clearer and clearer as we move on. Don't break our material brains to try and understand it, but just use our dedicated devotional moods to appreciate these truths. You can't understand it with your intelligence, but with your devotional sentiments, you can accept it and begin the journey towards realization of it. Examples can explain some of the spiritual qualities, but not all. The beauty of the sun's light and the ability of its rays to illuminate other objects are both qualities that compare with the Chit Tattva, for it is the quality of spirit to reveal its own beauty and to illuminate other objects. So, this is very wonderful. The quality of spirit is to reveal its own beauty and to illuminate other objects. However, the scorching heat in the sun rays has no counterpart in Chid Vastu. There's no defect in Chid Vastu. Nor does the fact that the rays are material. Again, if we say this milk is like water, we are only considering the liquid quality of water in the comparison. Otherwise, if all the qualities of water were present in milk, why would the water not become milk? So logically presented. Example can explain certain specific qualities of an object, but not all of its qualities and traits. So we're discussing, Brajana's asked the question about why we're referencing material objects to describe spiritual phenomena. We have no other choice. We've only got material tools to use. Brajanath, the spiritual rays of the transcendental Krishna sun and the spiritual atoms within those rays are non-different from the sun, yet at the same time they are eternally different from it. How can both these facts be true simultaneously? This is very beautiful. We've actually reached the end of our time. I don't really want to answer this question now because it'll take us at least 10, 15 minutes. So I'm just going to read this question again, and we're going to open this question tomorrow. Brajanath, the spiritual rays of the transcendental Krishna's sun and the spiritual atoms within those rays are non-different from the sun. So the rays, it's like a fire. The illumination of the fire is like the fire. When you say the fire, you include the heat and the illumination. That's what you're referencing. Or a candle. You say, oh, there's a candle burning over there. That means the flame, the heat, and the light. So they're all one in that sense. But they, in an analytical context, they can be broken down, and we can say the light and the heat and the flame. There's a distinction. So Krishna is like the light. He's like the flame. That's the origin. And then there's the heat, which is like the Shakti. This is like Radha. And then you have the effulgence. And within the rays of that effulgence are the tiny atomic jivas. So we are definitely separated from the um, flame of the candle. In that's called vibhinamsa. That's called separated. So that's our tattvic siddhantic position. We're separated from we're not Krishna, in other words. All of this is showing us that we're not God, but we are like God because we're coming from that potency. We're coming through the Swarup Shakti. So we have these qualities that are in a minute degree similar, just like we give the example many times. If you take a spoonful of water from the ocean, the the constituents of the water are the same in the spoonful as in the whole ocean, but the quantity is so distinct and different. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur will talk about. Actually, tomorrow we will discuss this point.
Separated from the origin,
Yes,
from the source.
we are. And what is the separation? What is it? What is the key? What is the link? It's actually love. That's why it's all so beautiful, because it's love that makes the connection. It's attraction and affection that makes the connection. This is tattva, but the actual lila is the sweetness that's going to melt the heart ultimately. The tattva will put us on track intelligently, but it's the lila ultimately which the heart is hankering for, the sweetness, the love, the relationship, that sambandha with Krishna in affection. That's what's going to um, emancipate us from this material condition in the end. That's the current of devotion. It all has to come back to devotion. Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavan yaschasmi tattvaha. I can only be understood by pure devotion. There's nothing else. So this is where we're rolling through, and we're hearing the description of our predicament right now. When we have it graphically mapped out like this, then we can become somewhat detached from this material veil of illusion, because we know it's not real, because we know where its origin and source are coming from. So with knowledge, we can cut this illusion. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshush Unmalitam Jina. With the sword of knowledge, this will cut the illusion. So tomorrow we'll continue. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. He is so merciful, giving us the full thing. He's not trying. You might read some different spiritual directions and books, and sometimes people try to sort of water things down. They don't give you the whole picture. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even though it's a difficult topic, I've said before, this is PhD study. It's not something that's just going to drop off the page. And even if we have some understanding of it, we need deep spiritual realization of it. And that takes time and practice. It's all a process of developing our higher state of consciousness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki
Ki
jai.
Jai.
Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Go Premanande Hari
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 Bol.
Bol. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Rama Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Nitai Gaura Hari
Haribol,
Bol, Hari
Haribol,
Bol, Hari
Haribol,
Bol, Gaura Hari Bol,
Nitai
Nitai Gaura
Gaura
Hari Bol,
Haribol,
Hari
Haribol,
Bol, Hari
Haribol,
Bol, Hari Bol.
Haribol,
Go Premanande, Srila Bhaktivinoda
Haribol,
Thakur ki jai,
Ki Jai,
Jaiva Dharma ki jai,
Jai,
Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Ki
jai,
Jai,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha,
Sukasha, Krupa,
Kripa
Sindhu,
Sindhaveva Patitanam
Pavanebhyo,
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavaya Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Srila Gurudev ki jai.